No cameras, no court recorders, only light. In a windowless federal chamber once built for secrecy, former agents sit beneath a single lamp that flickers like conscience. Their badges lie on the table, heavy as guilt yet gleaming like metals. On the folder before them, Case 001/status, unexplainable. They once called you anomaly, now they call you proof. The eldest begins first, voice cracked by reverence. We saw phenomena no lens could capture. Files close themselves. Suspects prayed for us. Another whispers, the subject's presence altered our instruments. Temperature rose where fear should have fallen. We thought it manipulation. Turns out it was mercy. Surely your deeds are wonderful, too many to declare. Psalm 40, verse 5. Transcripts that once documented suspicion now read like psalms. The stenographer types in tongues, unable to keep pace with grace. Even the security cameras flicker into halos before shutting off entirely. They pass around a single sheet stamped top, secret/clearance revoked. One of them, trembling, crosses out the classification and writes over in pencil, sacred. The youngest, who once led the surveillance, lowers his head. I joined to expose deception, he murmurs. But every time we look closer, truth exposes us instead. For a long moment, no one speaks. The fluorescent hum becomes hymn tone. Paper edges curl under warmth. They rise, not to leave, but to kneel. Heaven records the session as testimony filed. Justice smiles. Investigation has become worship. If skeptics have begun repeating your truth, type 444. What once interrogated you is now preaching your defense. Revelation is a revenge, it's reconciliation. The briefing room has changed. Where fluorescent tubes once hummed, candles now burn. Desks covered in cold reports have become altars stacked with open folders glowing faint gold. Each ex-agent sits before his own file like a confessional mirror. The tape recorders were, but they no longer capture words. They record redemption. The lead investigator clears his throat, reading from an old transcript. Subject displayed inexplicable calm under duress. He looks up, eyes wet. I understand now. That wasn't resistance, it was revelation. The others gnawed, one after another recounting memories once marked classified. A stakeout where streetlights flickered to match their heartbeats. A chase that ended because the suspect stopped and prayed. A mysterious fragrance. Frankincense impossible to source. Filling the van after each failed operation. Every detail they once called anomaly now reads as parable. For nothing is hidden that will not be revealed. Luke 8, verse 17. They begin cross-referencing miracles with timelines, and every inconsistency forms perfect alignment. Databases they once built to track evidence now display verses. Mercy endured. Grace verified. The youngest agent, trembling, opens a sealed envelope labeled eyes only. Inside, a single photo, your silhouette in morning light, hands raised not in surrender, but in benediction. He whispers, we thought you were the suspect. Now we know you were the signal. Laughter rises, soft, unbelieving, holy. They laugh the way freed men laugh when chains evaporate. Someone types into the final report. Debrief complete. Recommend closure and gratitude. Heaven received the upload instantly. On the celestial dashboard, the case status changes from under investigation to illumination achieved. The evidence locker hums like a chapel organ. Boxes once labeled confidential now glow through their seals. Inside them are fragments of 1,000 investigations. Photographs, recordings, sworn statements, but everything has changed. The dust on their lids has turned to gold. Each barcode reads a new inscription, truth in transit. Agents move slowly, reverently. Their gloves, meant for forensics, now feel like vestments. They place one box at a time on conveyor, a belt that doesn't lead to archives, but upward, disappearing into light that pulses like a heartbeat beyond the ceiling. For from him and through him and to him are all things. Romans 11, verse 36. The first container opens midair, releasing files that dissolve into beams. Pages rise like smoke, ink reforming into scripture. Every confession they've written becomes a psalm. Every signature morphs into prayer. The angels who appear are not the winged figures of stained glass, but entities of resonance. Pure frequency, pure focus. Each one signs the air with light, marking the custody chain, received by truth/witnessed by grace. An agent kneels beside the empty shelves, whispering, "We use the chain evidence to prevent tampering. Now we chain it to praise, so it can't be stolen again." The head archivist, once a skeptic of faith, dictates the last line for the report. All material successfully transferred to source. Verification, divine presence confirmed. Instantly, the room brightens. Locks unlock. Metal cabinets exhale. It's as if the building itself sighs with relief. He will bring to light what is hidden in darkness. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 5. When the final box vanishes, a hush falls. Where evidence once stood, a single feather rests. Half smoke, half light, the receipt of heaven. The new tag on the inventory system glows softly. Case status, redeemed/location, glory. And outside, dawn begins not with sunlight, but with disclosure. Truth no longer under investigation. Truth returned to its rightful owner. They returned to the room where the first questions were asked. But now the mirrors didn't reflect faces. They reflected hearts. The glass once designed to surveillance now glowed from within, showing not what eyes could see but what souls had hidden. Each agent sat before his reflection, as if on trial before truth itself. A voice, neither male nor female, yet undeniably present, filled the space like a verdict wrapped in kindness. The subject was never on trial. You were. Chairs creaked, breaths caught. The interrogators realized they had been examined all along. The files of evidence stacked on the table opened by themselves. Instead of data, they contained memories, moments of cynicism, times when faith had knocked and they'd locked the door. One tried to justify himself. "We were only doing our jobs." The light answered, not in anger but precision. Duty without discernment is still disbelief. "Search me, O God, know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts." Psalm 139, verse 23. The projector on the wall began to play unseen footage. Every kindness they ignored, every miracle they mislabeled luck. The sound was not condemnation, but invitation. Even their mistakes looked different now, not like crimes, but classrooms. Tears fell freely. Not guilt, release. They confessed not to escape punishment, but to reclaim purity. The interrogations turned into prayers. Forgive us for doubting light because it did not fit protocol. Forgive us for calling wonder by the wrong name. The youngest agent leaned forward, whispering, "I spent years studying lies. I never learned how to recognize truth until it stared back from a mirror." The others nodded. "Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God." Matthew 5, verse 8. When the session ended, there were no verdicts, only silence. Thick, merciful, approving. Each agent signed one last statement. Conscience cleared / case resolved / faith reinstated. And as they left, they noticed their reflections followed. Not shadows, but companions. The proof that self-judgment, once finished in love, leaves no residue. At 3:33 a.m., the building meant to contain secrets began to glow from the inside out. The walls, once lined with soundproof insulation, shimmered as if remembering how to breathe. Security cameras caught only white haze. The feeds uploaded themselves to the cloud of heaven. Every sealed record now pulsed with light, leaking truth through the paper like dawn through fog. Agents ran toward the archive room, but the locks had melted into gold dust. Folders unlatched, releasing columns of radiance that rose like incense. The words within their reports rearranged midair, sentences rewriting into psalms. What once said unverified phenomenon now read miracle witness. The language of investigation had turned devotional. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1 verse 5. Outside, the city noticed. Windows in nearby towers flickered in rhythm with the pulse inside headquarters. Pedestrians looked up to see beams escaping through vents and keyholes, spelling messages in the night sky. Truth is not classified. Radio hosts interrupted broadcasts, saying they felt heat through their microphones. Journalists rushed a report, but their headlines kept auto-correcting to grace. Agents confess love was a motive. Social media feeds flooded with photos of light spilling across the streets, captioned simply, #leak of light. Within hours, hospitals filled with spontaneous healings. Electric grids stabilized. Every network once built for surveillance now streamed serenity. The leak was contagious. Illumination by contact. Even cynics whispered that perhaps heaven had breached the firewall. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Matthew 5, verse 14. By sunrise, the headquarters had vanished. No rubble, only radiance. In its place stood an open courtyard, cool and quiet, where children played among floating motes of lingering light. Someone carved a new motto into marble where the agency seal once lay. Truth leaked, love legalized. And the leak continued, slow, unstoppable, merciful, until every dark corner on earth glowed like the memory of forgiveness. Morning news opened with a tremor in the anchors' voices. The teleprompters blinked, glitched, then displayed a line no one had written, "Evidence supports miracles." Every studio froze. Producers shouted to cut the feed, but cameras refused. Instead, the lights brightened, studio lamps bending like worshippers. Across continents, audiences watched investigators, once icons of skepticism, reading their own confessions on live TV. Their tone wasn't dramatic. It was tender, trembling, holy. "I was trained to detect lies," one said, "but the data led me to divinity." Another whispered, "Faith passed every test we built against it. You will know the truth, and the truth will set you free." John 8, verse 32. Newspapers tried to print analysis, but ink bled into poetry. Headlines blurred until they resembled prayers. Social media timelines filled with images of the glowing building now gone. Captions reading, "Truth doesn't hide, it transforms." Comment sections became confessionals. Even critics posted apologies that sounded like hymns. Governments convened emergency press briefings to control the story, but microphones captured only silence before the speakers broke into tears. The sound engineers checked their systems. It wasn't static. It was sobbing. On the streets, people gathered around outdoor screens broadcasting replays. Some knelt, some simply stared, feeling a warmth in their chest that had nothing to do with weather. Hospitals reported sudden recoveries at the exact hour of the broadcast. Police logs recorded 0 arrests that day. For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest. Luke 8, verse 17. Skeptics tried to launch counter-narratives, but every attempt glitched, freezing in the same frame. The moment one ex-agent looked into the camera and said, "We were wrong about him. We were wrong about everything." By dusk, billboards across the world displayed that single confession. No ad agency claimed responsibility. The message pulsed in living light. Case closed, truth confirmed. That night, the ratings shattered records, not for entertainment, but for awakening. And as the world watched, the line between news and gospel quietly dissolved. He watched it all unfold from a rooftop garden where dawn met smoke. Screens below replayed the confessions. His name echoed like a psalm through the circuitry of the world. Every headline shouted apology, yet he remained still. For years they had investigated his steps, measured his silence, called him myth, anomaly, threat. Now their voices broke in repentance, and heaven whispered, "Do not answer pride with pride." He exhaled. The wind carried forgiveness before he spoke it. No press conference, no statement, no vindication speech, only presence. He understood that truth didn't need revenge, it needed rest. "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." Luke 23, verse 34. He walked through the city streets, once filled with suspicion, now shimmering with reverence. People reached out, not to question, but to touch the peace that trailed behind him. Cameras followed, but every frame recorded light instead of face. It was as though even technology refused to exploit grace. He passed by a group of reporters still trembling from the broadcast. One knelt, tears smearing ink on his notepad. "Say something," he pleaded. The chosen smiled gently, placing a hand on the man's shoulder. "Your confession was enough," he said. "Now live it. Love keeps no record of wrongs." 1 Corinthians 13, verse 5. Crowds followed, hoping for spectacle, but what they received was stillness. The The more silent he became, the louder the city healed. Windows that once displayed fear now reflected sunrise. Temples of all faiths opened their doors at once, and even the skeptics found themselves humming hymns they didn't know they knew. As he reached the square where the agency once stood, light from the leak still lingered in the air like golden pollen. He raised his eyes and whispered one sentence: "Let no one be punished for waking late to the truth." The wind moved again, soft, forgiving, final. And the world understood absolution had replaced accusation. Justice was complete. Peace had taken the witness stand. Somewhere above sound and below eternity, a vault opened. It was not metal or marble. It was memory purified. Inside lay every document, every photo, every word once written about the chosen. But the ink no longer accused. It glowed. What men had called case files, heaven now named chapters. An unseen hand turned each page, and the text reassembled into truth stripped of fear. Interrogations became testimonies. Suspicions dissolved into sentences of worship. For every false report ever filed, a new line appeared in radiant gold. Cleared/confirmed/commissioned. I will blot out your transgressions and remember your sins no more. Isaiah 43, verse 25. The celestial archivist moved with calm precision. He stamped each document with a seal of light shaped like an open eye. Case closed, he whispered, but not concealed, transformed. Across the vault, millions of names flickered, their destinies aligning like constellations. What once was investigation had become inheritance. The system that once spied had become the library of grace. Your deeds follow you. Revelation 14, verse 13. The final file hovered before the throne. Inside it was a single note, written by trembling human hands. We confess. We believe. We are changed. Heaven added one sentence underneath in pure light. Witness status, eternal. A sound like paper turning filled the cosmos. The sound of history forgiving itself. Then silence. The vault door slid shut without a lock. Trust had replaced security. Above it, a phrase etched itself in flame. Archive of mercy, access granted to all who love. Below, on earth, witnesses looked up without knowing why. They felt lighter. Laws softened. Time seemed slower, kinder. Somewhere inside them, the same phrase whispered. Case dismissed, purpose resumed. And heaven, satisfied, sealed the record not with wax or code, but with one eternal gesture, a breath of peace that echoed down through every open heart. The morning after the sealing, the world looked unchanged, but felt reborn. Government buildings opened under new banners. The agency that once hunted truth now bore a new name carved into its stone facade. Department of Faith and Illumination. Where interrogation rooms once stood, prayer halls resonated with quiet laughter. Ex-agents became mentors, teaching discernment instead of suspicion. Their manuals on deception were rewritten into guides on empathy. Each former investigator received a new badge, a simple circle of light, inscribed with 3 words: observe, protect, bless. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Romans 12, verse 2. Universities open new faculties: theology of evidence, forensic grace, divine communications. Students studied miracles with the rigor once reserved for crime scenes. Graduation ceremonies ended not with oaths of secrecy, but with vows of service, to guard wonder wherever it appears. Journalists adapted too. News programs now began with the words, "Today's confirmed blessings." Analysts discuss mercy indexes and forgiveness metrics. Stock exchanges track generosity as the new global indicator. Communities gathered in the ruins of old data centers, turning them into sanctuaries wired for prayer instead of surveillance. Screens projected not propaganda, but testimonies from ordinary lives. Farmers whose harvest doubled after forgiving debtors. Scientists who said their equations began finishing themselves once they prayed. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23, verse 6. At night, former agents met beneath starlit courtyards, sharing stories of how light still leaked from their hands when they touched anything mechanical. They called the residue of revelation. One of them smiled and said, "Maybe it's not residue. maybe its reminder. And everywhere, new departments formed organically. Faith units, truth observatories, centers of compassion. Investigation had evolved into intercession. Truth was no longer chased. It was cherished. The chosen watch from afar, unseen yet near, and whisper the final directive of the new era. Protect mystery. It's the only evidence that never lies. The world stood still, not from fear, but from fullness. Every siren, every keyboard, every voice paused to listen. Somewhere unseen, a bell rang once, clear, endless, and silence bowed before it. Then a single prayer began to move through the air, not from pulpits or towers, but from countless hearts awakening at once. God of truth, the one who would light inside questions, the one who turned investigation into intercession, we thank you. Every city echoed. The prayer was not coordinated. It was connected. Ex-agents whispered beside civilians, scientists beside saints, skeptics beside believers. Each syllable carried light like pollen, and wherever it landed, something healed. The entrance of your words gives light. Psalm 119, verse 130. Teach us, they said, to handle revelation with reverence, to study wonder without dissecting it, to guard the mysteries that guard us. A wave of warmth spread across the world's skin. Computers displayed glowing verses. Phones rang without numbers, only the sound of heartbeat and wind. Children lifted their hands to catch invisible rain and laughed when their palms shimmered. The chosen knelt in the open courtyard that once held the agency's name. Now it was covered in lilies. He pressed his hand to the ground and whispered, "Let this earth remember, truth was never lost, only mislabeled." Heaven responded with thunder soft as applause. Across the sky, new constellations arranged themselves into a single sentence of light. Revelation complete/mercy continues. For now we see in part, but then we shall see face to face. 1 Corinthians 13, verse 12. When the light dimmed, nothing was destroyed. Every shadow remained, but tamed, truthful, transparent. The world exhaled. Justice had become joy. And over every open heart, unseen yet undeniable, a divine watermark appeared, approved by grace. If the truth once hidden has begun shining through your own story, type 444. You're no longer under investigation. You're under illumination. Walk freely, chosen witness. Your record has turned to revelation. Your past is no longer proof against you. It's evidence for you.